Can it get any worse for the Canadian military?
This this comes from the Auditor General, and this is actually this is like there's a big reveal buried in that report and the language that she uses, which I'm just going to get here. I'm just going to get the exact language so I can read it out. So she's talking. This Karen Hogan, Auditor General. She's talking about how they're in poor physical condition. They don't have running water or safe drinking water or working toilets. And then she says, for some reason, she thought this was a good idea. I have no idea why. But she includes the phrase, you and I wouldn't want to live in these places. That's what she says. And then goes on to say, and yet we expect the Canadian forces to live in them. Just think about, not just that on the face of it, think about what that implies. People that work in the Canadian Armed Forces, it's not her. It's not people like her. It's not the sort of the suit and tie class, not the sort of people who are going to be reading this report. It's other people. It's those other people over there who do that. It's just astonishing language that reveals so much and answers so many questions that people might have about
It's the
why the
next
Canadian
slide, by the
military
way.
is treated like garbage. There's your reason, because the people who decide what money they get, what houses they live in, what conditions they endure, would never join the military in a million years. They don't think that's worth doing. Not enough money, not enough prestige. It's not a good life. So instead, they go into PR and consultancy and things like that, and law and finance. Those are the sort of glamorous jobs that they work in. And then they look at the military as kind of, it's like this extraneous entity. It's like this foreign entity full of strange people from rural parts of Canada or something like that. And I just think the sooner you understand that, the sooner you'll see why it is that they get second best and everything. And also why, what we've talked about so many times, why some barely competent, semi-literate university graduate working in Ottawa down the road here, why they get double the salary for doing very little work. I'm sorry to say, double the salary that a soldier gets for theoretically being at a moment's notice being called out to go and die somewhere for this country.
You can see there, Nick, like it keeps flashing. You want to check all those connectors because it is getting very kind of like troubling here. And then this is the troubling part of it. The housing units, she says, they were to look at 45 buildings on these bases, and you can tell like the toilets weren't working, and there's structural damage to exterior walls, kind of conditions you and I wouldn't live in. Like these things are just awful. And they went to 45 different buildings. It's not like it was one building that was in trouble. And which cabinet minister of which cabinet is actually doing a good job? Like, I mean, this is another one. It'll be the connectors together where they connect together. Sorry about that, folks, but we were having some trouble with the monitors here. And you know what? It's just approximately 25% of the existing infrastructure is greater than 50 years old and requires significant maintenance, repair, and recapitalization to ensure it remains serviceable and compliant with health, safety, and environment regulations. But where is McGuinty on all this stuff? Where is he? Like it's like it's a surprise to him.
Well, he said we're working actively to improve all of that.
Well,
that's what he says.
How did it get so bad? You know, like where the toilets are working and nobody seems to know, just like, oh, this is a surprise. The auditors have to tell you that it's so bad that the toilets aren't working.
I think it's because what I said, because this is another world that affects other people. This is another class of people. And it's of no material concern to the likes of the Auditor General and that class of people in Ottawa and Toronto.
I would
and
just
Montreal.
Unplug it from the computer and then plug it back in.
The military is something
I'm trying
that other people do. You know, it's like they're talking about it in a very similar way that they would talk about people in other countries. You know, and sort of like in the Middle East or Africa experiencing drought and famine. And it's kind of they're talking about it like that. That these are just strange foreign people, and you should give to charity and be a nice, be a good citizen, that kind of thing. It's absurd. And now and then I do like to bring up Plato and Aristotle and things like that, and like go back thousands of years. But thousands of years they knew this. The Roman Empire, the Roman Republic, more like the Roman Republic is another example, where there was philosophers and people have thought about what makes a society healthy. They almost all of them believed that if you're going to have a military attached to your state, which all states do, then it should be composed of the citizenry, and that means everyone. That means the rich people, the highly educated people, and also the poorer people and the less educated people. It should be a whole society effort, and it should be something that binds everybody together. And when I look at the Canadian military, I can't say I see that. I just see it's just a very small group of people that aren't really recognized. They're not part of the elite in the main political system. They're just kind of like other people.
Yeah, like the military is the second largest landlord for Canada, and here we have this 25% of the existing infrastructure greater than 50 years old. I think I already said that, but it's just that we're sending money overseas. We're sending millions. We talk about it on the show all the time. We're sending millions and billions of dollars overseas, and we're not even looking after our own military. Like, we have aging jets. What do we have? We have 40-year-old jets. We have diesel subs. I think only 2 are working, I believe. 2 are working, and they're diesel. And we bought them in a UK garage sale, 30 years ago? And Australia just got a nuclear sub. I have friends that work in the military. It's not good, but not even good, safe drinking water. This is a Trudeau legacy. Well, basically a Liberal legacy. How many First Nations are there unsafe drinking water? This is the basic things that you would expect. Yet, the D&D, we did that story back in December, where they were supposed to come in the office 3 days a week. They weren't even doing that. So they're doing well with their $100,000, what is an average, $136,000 a year salary? Well, these guys are basically working for minimum wage. You don't even provide them clean drinking water or toilets that work. This is an absolute shame. And how this McGuinty guy hangs on to his job as a cabinet minister, how the Liberals hang on in an election, like this is just what you would call neglect for 10 years. Just absolute neglect of the Canadian military.
And it's treated as though it's optional, isn't it? That's the other thing about the military. It's treated as almost like a luxury. It's kind of like, if there's any spare money after we've donated $500 million to the West Bank or something like that, then maybe we can get them a few sleeping bags. It's like added on top. It's very much a kind of an optional expenditure for these people.
This should be the scandal story of all media outlets should be covering it. But let's just look at our friends at the CBC there. What do they have on the above the fold there? Conservatives MPs doubt Poilievre's leadership. Second story, Poilievre said Trudeau broke law. Third story, Poilievre calls out RCMP. Fourth story, Liberals press Poilievre to apologize. Fifth story, Poilievre blasts RCMP. Where's the story?
I watched David Cochrane yesterday.
Where's the story, CBC? Where?
Cochrane is usually the better one, I thought, but I watched him yesterday, and it was just all in on Pierre Poilievre. And it was just kind of like very much the Liberal Party's line on everything.
These are just attack dogs for the Liberal Party. Well, let's see if our friends at the CTV are any better. Breaking news, Carney to meet with Poilievre to discuss budget. Toyota, Tesla announced recalls. Where's the story on this? This is absolute neglect of the Canadian military.
Mate, you're missing some huge news on CTV there.
What's that?
About the New York subway, a child that's gone missing in the New York subway or something like that.
But I mean,
Remarkable.
Where's this? Under-equipped, underfunded, underpaid, and now housing not fit to live in. And an embarrassment.
But have you seen?
Absolute
he was
embarrassment.
asked yesterday. I find it remarkable. He was asked by a reporter, "Would you live in military housing?" He responded saying, "We're working to improve all of that." So ignored the question. And then he was asked, "How do you feel hearing what the Auditor General says about places that don't have working toilets?" His response was, "For decades now, governments successively have not been making the investments we need to make in our armed forces. We are doing that." So again, it's just
10 years later,
10 else
years,
screwed it up. We'll fix it.
Hey, you couldn't get a toilet to work in 10 years? Is it that bad? No plumbers?
I think that, even if he is being genuine here, and if the Liberal Party is being genuine in its apparent conversion to the idea that Canada needs to have a military, like a decent military, or one at all, That might be sincere, that might be genuine. But when you're asked questions like this, or when things like this show up, it's incumbent upon you as the government and as the party that's been in government for a decade to kind of say, look, we're sorry. We really screwed this up. And we can blame Stephen Harper, we can blame whoever we want, but the buck stops with us, and we're sorry. Why did they never speak like that? I just feel like at
No.
least then you might be able to respect them.
He should lose his job right now. I mean, there's no way that he should survive this, that this type of state of disrepair. And it's not like it was brought forward. The auditor has to bring it forward. Why didn't he say it? If it was such a problem, why wasn't he telling people about it? Why wasn't he saying, hey, look at the state of the military here. We got to put some money into it. He didn't say nothing.
Well, he was saying, yeah, I know all about it. Yeah, it's true. So why didn't you say anything?
Neglect.